Hello, how are you doing? I'm fine. I'm Ryan, and on this channel, I react to stuff about the UK and Europe and sometimes other stuff too. Anyway, today, Irish culture and customs, social etiquette. I enjoy these videos. It's always interesting to see how the etiquette is different country to country. So, without further ado, let's go.
My channel. I thought I'd do a video on Irish social etiquette and our culture and customs. If you're ever visiting Ireland, hopefully some of these things will help you. If you like this kind of stuff, please give this video a like and subscribe for more. And
You know
let's
what?
get started.
You know
so
what?
first up is going for a pint. Ireland has a big pub culture. Most of our socializing is done in pubs. And when someone says to you, "Are you going for a pint?" they never mean, "Are you just going for one drink?" They mean kind of 3 drinks. And if someone says, "Are you going for a few pints?" they really mean, "Are you coming out for the night?" A good rule of thumb is to take the amount of pints they're suggesting and multiply it by 3, so you get a general idea of what they're really talking about. It would be very rare that an Irish person would go to the pub for 1 drink and then leave. It doesn't really happen. And then
I see.
the next one.
So it's kind of like the rule about how many people have you been with. For men, you have to divide it by 3, the number they say, and then for women, you have to multiply it by 3. Okay, I got it.
One, which is rounds. Usually when you go to the pub with friends, you do rounds. So one person goes up, get a rounds for everyone in the group, and then you take it in turns doing that. And it is really, really bad social etiquette to let yourself be included in a round if you're not going to stay and do your own round as well. If you're not planning
That's good to know. I'd be the moron that would just walk away.
stay out long, just say, "Oh no, I won't be included in the rounds, thanks, I'll do my own." Another thing to keep in mind with rounds is that if you don't want to get too drunk, maybe don't do rounds, because the pace is always set by the fastest drinkers. So if you're kind of a slower drinker or can't keep up with the pace, then maybe do your own thing, otherwise it's going to be...
That's kind of funny. There's like a drinking games in America like that, but it's not normally just something you just do at the bar.
a very sloppy night. Next up is tipping. Tipping in Ireland is at your discretion. It's not mandatory, and it's seen as a bonus for a good job done. You usually always tip in restaurants and taxis, things like that, and it's usually 10 to 15%. And for food delivery, you might tip a couple of euro.
Here in America, it used to be 15%. Now it's like, then it was 18, now it's 20. It's getting out of hand. And it's pretty much, you could say it's not mandatory, but really if you don't tip, who knows what might happen to you.
And then in hotels and things, you
The looks you will get. The Facebook posts that will be written about you.
really only tip if someone goes above and beyond. I know whenever I
like
go to
that.
America, I just feel like I'm tipping everyone for everything. But in Ireland, it's
Yeah, it
not like
sucks.
that. It's kind of just seen as a bonus. Next up is running late. We're not the best timekeepers in Ireland. If you're meeting a group of friends, you're always guaranteed that someone will be running late, and it's not
That's
really a
funny.
big deal. It's not that unusual for someone to
How late are we talking
be
though?
half an hour or even an hour late. I was raised by a Canadian mother, so growing up I was always the first to arrive at everything, and I'm still punctual today. So it's not unusual for me to be sitting at a table for 40 minutes waiting for my friends to arrive, but it's just a more relaxed attitude towards timekeeping in Ireland. Running late, it happens all the time, and it's just not a big deal. The next one is please and thank you.
Now that I have a kid, I mean, I feel that I would enjoy that. That'd be nice to not catch so much flack for running a little bit late.
The Irish are very polite, and we say please and thank you all the time to everyone. But the most important person to thank is always the bus driver. You always say thank you to the bus driver or some kind of acknowledgement. When
Well, I haven't taken the bus since the school bus, but I always said, no, I didn't always say that. I think I always said thank you.
you get off the bus,
I usually did.
either a cheers or a thanks or a good luck. It's a sin in Ireland to not thank the bus driver. That's a very important one. The next one is slagging. This can be very confusing for people outside of Ireland to really understand, but slagging is making fun of someone or being mean to someone, but in a loving way, in a fun way with your friends. So, and it's usually the meaner you are, the more close a friendship you have with them. So someone saying to a bald man, "Hey Baldy," is actually just nice, it's fun. As weird as that sounds. Or like my friends, for example, I'm notorious...
I mean, people do this here in America, but it's mostly just men, and mostly just, well, I was going to say young men, but the more rural you go, I'd say the more common it is. among the older people, if that makes sense.
Seriously bad with my tea making skills. So if I ever offer someone a cup of tea, they kind of say, are you making it? Or don't let her near the kettle. And I know it's just because they love me. So it might come across as friends just being really mean to each other, but it's not meant like that. It's
That's probably healthy.
meant like in a nice way. I know this sounds weird. And as I said, I'm not great with my tea making abilities, but the next one is tea. Tea is
The only problem with the whole making fun of each other's stuff is when you start escalating it and then eventually you actually become mad at each other.
very important in Ireland. As soon
You
as
start to
someone
mean
walks
it.
into your house, the first thing you do is offer them tea. If you have a workman or a gardener around and you offer them a cup of tea, if someone gets bad news, the first thing a person says is, will I make you a cup of tea? Tea makes everything better, and it solves a lot of Irish people's problems. There's also a
I thought that was beer.
big debate about Lyons versus Barry's tea, which one is better. That's open to interpretation, but it's a very important topic because tea is a very important part of Irish culture. The next one is dining etiquette. I think the
I eat tea like maybe once a month,
dining
if that.
etiquette in Ireland is the same, the same table manners for a lot of Western countries. Things like when you're dining, you don't start your food until every single person at the table has their food in front of them. You don't
Yeah, that's pretty common here too, but not everybody's raised that way.
chew with your mouth open. You don't talk with food in your mouth. If you got a mouthful of food, you kind of until you're finished eating and then you speak. You don't blow your nose at the table. I remember someone blew their nose at my grandmother's house at the table, and she nearly had a heart attack, and it's still spoken about to this day. So don't blow your nose at the table. Don't put your elbows on the table. I think a lot of
Really?
these are just kind of the standard table manners for
It kind of sounds like a really polite family here in the States. Like, those are typical table manners, but nobody really follows all of them.
most Western countries. The next one is sorry. In Ireland, sorry is not always an apology. It can also just mean excuse me. So if someone drops something you want to get their attention, you say sorry. But this also changes depending on the tone. If someone, if you're in a queue and someone cuts you, skips the queue, and if you say sorry in that tone, it means, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Here it would be, sorry? But actually it would be more like, excuse me? That would be more typical.
And that leads me to my next one, which is queuing. In Ireland, queuing is observed pretty much everywhere where there's some kind of service. And it's very, very bad etiquette to skip a queue. You always join at the end of the queue. I've been to some countries where if you queue, you will be there all day because it's not observed and people just all go to the front. It's not like that in Ireland.
That sounds awful.
Queuing is very important.
I would have so much anxiety skipping people in a queue, or a line as it's called here.
In bus stops, restaurants, hotels, shops, markets, all that stuff, queuing is very important. The only place there isn't really official queues is in pubs or bars, where everyone kind of scrambles around the bar trying to get the barman's attention. But at the same time, there's kind of an unwritten rule that,
Very similar to here in America.
if you come up to the bar and the barman comes to take your order, you do kind of say, well, he was here first, or she's been here longer than me. It'd be very, very bad manners to let yourself be served before someone that was waiting there before you. The next one is go on. In Ireland, if someone offers you something, the custom is to refuse it first and let them insist. Like, will you have a glass of wine? Ah, no, I'm grand, thanks. Ah, go on. Okay, I will.
Go on.
Thanks. Or, do you want a lift? Oh, no, I'm fine walking. Ah, go on. Okay, thanks. Even if you really want something, you always do a first refusal and let the person in.
Really? Okay. See, I'm the kind of person that would typically do that, but sometimes it results in you not getting the thing. Here in America.
I remember one time I was in an airport in
Hey, you want a cupcake? Oh, no, that's okay. Oh, okay. And I'm like, shit. I did want it.
America, and I was buying a ton of sweets and magazines, and this American guy that was beside me, and we got chatting, and he said to the cashier, I'll buy all this for her. And I did the polite Irish refusal of, no, I'm grand, thanks. And I expected him to do the kind of, no, I insist. And instead, he got so offended. He was absolutely furious, and he stormed off because I was so rude for blowing him off like that. And it was just a really awkward situation. I was just trying to do the polite thing. I would have loved for him to buy those sweets for me, but yeah.
I could see how some man might interpret that as like a rejection. Like they like that you don't want them. You're kind of turning them down, their gesture down. That's funny.
So it got pretty awkward. Next up is greeting.
He sounds like a psycho though, the way he stormed off anger, like super upset. That's crazy.
When you meet someone for the first time, you usually shake hands. If you're greeting an acquaintance, it's usually a nod of the head. If you're greeting a friend, it's usually for girls a hug, a kiss on the cheek. Men usually do that half hug, half handshake. But that's even if there is any physical contact, because the Irish people aren't really into public displays of affection, and they kind of just like to keep their distance. So a lot of the time it's just a how are you and leave it at that. And that leads me to my next one, which is how are you. How are you?
Here in the southern United States, it's much more like affectionate, like everybody's hugging.
Is a greeting. It's not a question. So if someone says how are you, they're not asking how are you. They're just greeting you. So don't say, oh, not great today, I did this and I went here and I'm feeling this. No one really wants to know that. They're just saying how are you as hi.
That's equivalent to what's up. Here in America, you say what's up. You can just say what's up back, and that's it.
And you can respond one of two ways to a how are you. You can either just say grand or not a bother, or you can say how are you back at them. It's not unusual for two people to say how are you, and leave it at that and not answer the question. Just a greeting.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm saying how are you. That's my husband would pronounce it how are you, because he's from Dublin. I'm from Wicklow, so I'd pronounce it how are you, but it means the same kind of thing. The next one is swearing. Irish people swear a lot, and if you're not...
You know what's funny? Here in the States, I always called it swearing, but a lot of people call it cussing. Cussing.
Not used to it, you might think they're
I like swearing,
being really
that
rude
word.
by using that amount of profanity, but Irish people don't really consider it profanity, and we just swear a lot in our everyday conversations. You know, if we're really passionate or excited about something, we'll throw a few swear words in. I remember one time listening to my husband and his friends, and they were really excited about a plan they were putting together, and they were going, oh, we'll effing go here and we'll effing pick this up, and then we'll effing go here and effing do that, and then effing do that. And I pointed out, do you guys realize how much you're swearing? And they were like, we were swearing? Like they hadn't even noticed it, because it's just part of everyday normal
I love that.
language. So yeah, don't get offended and don't think it's rude if someone swears a lot at you, because it's not really meant as a profanity. The next one is bye, bye, bye. Ireland is known as the land of 1,000 welcomes, but we're also really good at the 1,000 byes. It's impossible for an Irish person to just say bye once. You know, if we're on the phone and we're ending the conversation, it's a bye, 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 bye. And then if you're in the pub and you want to leave, you usually say bye about 10 to 15 minutes before you anticipate.
I thought she was going to say 10 or 15 times.
Actually leaving, because again, you can't just say bye and leave.
Might
you
be.
have to say bye and then get sucked into another conversation, say bye, and then...
Okay, so you show up late, but then you leave late too. That makes up
say,
for
oh,
it.
by the way, did you hear this? You kind of have to prepare for the real bye with a load of leading up to it byes. And then sometimes people get so sucked into all the little byes that in the end they just turn and walk out of the place without saying the real goodbye, because it's all been sucked out of them. So yeah, a lot of byes in Ireland. Bye, 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 bye. The next one is waving at strangers. In Dublin or any bigger cities, this might not happen, but whenever you go into the country or rural areas, everyone waves at everyone when you're driving around.
Amazing.
And I didn't know this for a while, so when I was younger...
I like that. That's how it, the same way here in the countryside of the States. Yeah, you all wave, and it's a good feeling.
And everyone was waving at me in the country. I just always assumed they thought I was someone else and they thought they knew me, so I never waved back. And then one day my husband pointed out, you're being so rude. They're being nice, waving to you, and you're ignoring them. And I had never known that. So... And I love this one. I love going to the country now and waving at everyone, and everyone waves back. It's such a nice thing. And it's kind of like a wave, like one finger or a few fingers off the steering wheel.
It sounds so much like America. I love it.
Other people, and they do the same to you.
Most of this stuff
You don't do a
does.
full-on wave, though. That would just be weird. The next one is I'll let you go. If you're having a conversation with someone and you want to end it, the polite way to do it is to say, I'll let you go, or sorry, I won't keep you any longer. If someone says
Classic.
this to you, they're really saying, I have to go. So
Yeah.
don't respond
Yeah.
to that by, no, you're not keeping me, or no, I have nowhere to be. Just say, all right, thanks, I'll see you. But yeah, I'll let you go is the nice way of getting out of somewhere where you're kind of finished with. So anyway, I'll let you go. That's it. They are my top tips for Irish social etiquette and
Excellent. A lot of I think I would fit in just fine. It's kind of funny how it lines up, but especially with like Midwestern Southern hospitality in the United States, which is a good thing. But there are some differences as far as the tipping and the bye, and the punctuality and the strict dinner manners. That's interesting. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting differences, but I think I'd fit in. Thank you for watching, guys. That was fun. I hope to see you again here. On my next video. I'm going to take the weekend off. So after that, 5 videos a week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.